Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Friday, May the 6th, it is Ian Cameron with you. Just me today. The rest of the crew is preoccupied today, but we'll be having Andrew back on Monday. Of course, Jimmy's still covering the Bruins, and he's swamped with writing and having to report as they continue their series against the Hurricanes. Andrew will be back with us on Monday, but I'm here, and so is our guest, Stephen Fournier, joining us here on the Ice Guys for the first time. On the show today. You can follow him as well on Twitter at sfournier74. So give him a follow there as well. Great to have Stephen Fournier with us. Stephen, how are you today? You're enjoying the nice weather in Montreal, it looks like.
Enjoy the nice weather outside for Mother's Day, Ian. It's a pleasure to be on the show with. I was going to say you guys, but it's just me and you today.
Yeah, absolutely. It is what it is, but we'll have a great show. We'll break down the NHL. So I'll be telling you what, of all the guests that we brought on this week, it's been a great week of guests. Just the insight, the players' perspective, which is great. It's great to have that on this show. And, we've been asking people about, coming back home off a long road trip. Is that the bad spot that we all think it is? Look ahead spots, where teams got a weak opponent in their next game, and then they got a much bigger game against a much tougher team in their division the next game. Is that like a look-ahead spot or quote-unquote flat spot? We've been able to pick the brain of all these players and ask them that kind of thing and just getting that kind of player insight that, hey, some of the shit that we say could happen, it actually is true. It's been great to have that, no doubt. But talk, Stefan, a little bit about your playing past, certainly the highlight being the junior years with the Halifax Mooseheads, 2013 Memorial Cup champions. And I know when we talked about you coming on this show, you were going to state the case. You were going to make that case right here on the show that the Halifax Mooseheads of 2013 were the single greatest junior hockey team of all time. I'm willing to throw a couple others out there that, state your case.
Well, look, I think there's only one other team that you could measure up with it, and it's that London Knights team that had Corey Perry and, company that was there that, was obviously a fantastic team. At the time, I think statistically and points-wise, I think we did break the record. I think we ended it was 76, 6-2-1 or something like that. So we had sub-10 losses in the whole season. That's including playoffs and Memorial Cup. Obviously led by, Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin, Martin Ferk, who, has an absolute cannon of a shot in LA's organization. It's pretty much a toss-up if you would, but I think that if you put our team against London, we would have had a hell of a game back then.
And that's the one that always comes to mind, that London team, Robbie Schremp, Corey Perry, Dale Hunter coaching that team. And then there was that team with the Kamloops Blazers that had, I think, 8 or 9 guys that had lengthy NHL careers from the 90s. And Jerome McGinley was on that Kamloops Blazers team. I think maybe Brian McKay, but there's just a bunch of guys that had very long playing careers that were on that team. And they're in that conversation as well. But getting back to your guys with the Mooseheads, it goes without saying. You and you had Nathan McKinnon and you had Jonathan Drouin, and look at Mackenzie Weegar, what he's doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Panthers, it's a damn good team.
Yeah. Look, excuse me, but at the time, look, you can't ever compare teams from years to years. I like to poke fun at it. I know that I think they did do an official list a couple years ago on, I don't know if it was the Junior Network or whatever it was for the Memorial Cup, and they put the London team ahead of us. So we ended up being the second place team. And you know what? I'll beg to differ, but to each their own,
Well, of course. As a competitive person, and I know you are, definitely you want to be number one at everything.
Yeah, exactly.
No question. And so when you see, hey, London Knights number one, what the fuck's wrong with these guys? So you get a little pissed off.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a brilliant team. And look, what we've done, Stefan, with some of our guests this week is we've done a little trip down memory lane with a lot of them here, with a lot of something that's happened in their playoff past, or in their playing past, I should say. So we're going to do that with you right now. We're going to roll it.
All right.
I just missed the 10. Number 2 game. Kevin will be like, he got in behind. Right in. Poke check by Caron.
There we go. This is the part we want.
Huge save on Ashley. Mooseheads don't want this one to slip away. Under 10 to go. Puck
I'm pretty sure I'm
Now,
off the ice
3,
there.
2, 1. The Halifax Mooseheads, 2013 Memorial Cup champions. Look at them jumping up and down. Don't kill each other now.
No, I forgot that. I mean, good times, buddy. That's the reason why you play, you know?
Exactly. For moments like that, there's no better feeling than, right? Stanley Cup, Memorial, it's long seasons. People don't get it. Junior hockey, that's a goddamn long season. Bus trips.
Oh, well, with
just 2 games,
especially
3 and 4 nights, that kind of thing. On bus.
well, they say statistically the Memorial Cup's like the hardest trophy to win, right?
Yeah. You're not flying first class to your next game like the NHL people are yet.
No. We did fly first class to the Memorial Cup, though.
Yes.
What the celebration will be like now.
Least they could do all those bus trips and say we got to finally throw these guys a bone and give them a plane finally. So there's Jonathan, a young Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah, what a stud.
Yeah.
Couple of players they are.
And McKinnon.
Halifax can be.
Yeah.
Even McKinnon, you can tell he's changed a little bit. He's gotten a
Well, he changed a lot. Changed a lot. He's a man now. I think watch him play right now. He's unbelievable.
And that I hate to see when the kids are so upset.
I didn't mind seeing it. It wasn't me crying in that game.
It's like, we're the winners.
Yeah, I won.
What they're doing, or how they're doing. Yeah.
Came close to tying it too.
Zach Bucali, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, and look, he's still played a couple NHL games this year with the Washington
Yeah, I know.
Capitals.
Look, he came out of nowhere again to do that. So
Couple of big saves.
Keeps on battling.
keeps on battling. I mean, that kid, he's a great kid. Zach Bucali's a great person.
And look, a Montreal Canadian draft pick, that's automatically going to put a lot of pressure on him, right?
Well, for sure, being local guy also.
Yeah. So there you go. You see that. There's the handshake line. Great memories there, I'm sure, for Stefan winning that Memorial Cup. And like we said, it was an absolutely terrific team. I don't know if these are his great memories, but actually not too long after that Memorial Cup title, Stefan, you're obviously with the Montreal Canadiens in their training camp the very next year, and you somehow, as we're about to see, had the absolute guts to take on a very tough,
very bad fight, though.
Yeah. Mr. Adam McQuaid was, of course, now retired, and he was a tough son of a gun. And there you are, right, looking to make an impression, right, as all young kids are in training camp. Drop the gloves and show, hey, I'm a team guy.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks that the fight went bad, though, but it is what it is.
Got the takedown. There you go.
Yeah, not a great fight, though.
No. I like that. You say, I got the takedown, but shit fight, right?
It was a shit fight. I mean, look, I remember exactly who I was fighting to. I was 20.
Yeah, and Adam McQuaid was a tough bastard.
Yeah, well, that game was a scary game, too. Adam McQuaid was in it. Milan Lucic was in it. Zdeno Chara was in it. It was a pretty stacked card.
It was. No, that was. And, I remember back in the early days of my youth, man, there were basically 8 or 9 fights in one game in the exhibition in the preseason, like back in the 80s and the 90s. That was a fight fest waiting to happen in a preseason NHL game. Not so much these days, but you still get a few more, I think, in the preseason than you do.
Well, I played 6 NHL preseason games, and in all of them I fought. So I'm pretty sure in all 6 of them I got into a fight.
Yeah, no, that's good. And by the way, there's a couple YouTube channels I subscribe to. One of them's a fighting one, and I swear to God, I mean, have you got? It said Stephen Fournier versus Garrett Hunt, and it happened like 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah, we fought each other 4 different times.
Yeah, you got like a Ty Domi versus Rob Ray thing going on back in the day, where every time your teams play each other, you guys are going at it.
Yeah, we haven't made it through a game where we don't fight each other yet. That's funny.
Remember what Domi and Ray did back in the day with the Leafs and the Sabres, Probert versus Troy Crowder way back in time. I'm dating myself.
Now you're going back in time right now.
I am. I'm going back in time, no question about that. But great stuff. Always like taking our guests down memory lane for a moment in time from their playing past, no doubt about that. All right, let's turn our,
Thank you.
Yeah, no. All right, let's turn our attention now to what's going on today, and that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's recap last night just quickly, and then we'll get to Friday's games. We had the New York Rangers beating the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-2. This game treated me very well, except for the Rangers' first period puck line. That did not cash for me, but everything else did. We had the Rangers in regulation, Rangers team total, which was my favorite bet of that game, over 3.5. It ended up getting there, and of course the 5-2 win over the Penguins. And look, we said yesterday Louis Domingue would be a little more difficult now that he's starting. The Rangers have a better idea of his tendencies, maybe how to exploit them. And look, they did a good job. They got the win they needed, and they evened that series up at a game apiece. The Rangers still can't defend Crosby though, and that's a problem still. I know they won last night in spite of that, but Stefan, every time that Crosby, Gensel, and Rust, that top line has been out on the ice for them. They've had incredible pressure, unbelievable scoring chances, or they've scored a goal. Like the Rangers have not been able to contain them.
I mean, look, it's still Sidney Crosby. He's still the best player in the world until he's dethroned. You know what I mean? You got to imagine he's going through a whole regular season.
Definitely one of still. Yeah.
Well, look, during the regular season, I mean, until someone goes 3 Stanley Cups, scoring the game-winning goal in the Olympics, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it would be great for hockey now to see one of the younger superstars kind of break out and have the season where they win and start a new dynasty with a la Chicago and, obviously LA with 2 wins over those the past 12 years, whatever. Pittsburgh has 3, but it's Sidney Crosby. And at the end of the day, he's still if you wanted to win one game, I don't think that anyone wouldn't pick him.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I mean, come playoff time, he's going to turn on the Jets, and it's, there's no tomorrow. And it doesn't surprise me until the day, he just doesn't do it anymore. But
no, he's been brilliant. Jake Gensel's been phenomenal.
Yeah,
Ryan Rust has been the quiet man on that line, but still, I mean, he's had some chances. I mean, that line has been difficult for the Rangers to contain now. I know they're 1-1, and they got the win last night, but look, Mike Sullivan's going to get last line change in Pittsburgh for Game 3 and Game 4, and he's going to obviously put that Crosby unit out a lot, especially against opposing defensive pair and lines that he hopes, are a little weaker defensively. You get that opportunity with the last line change. So look out. This is going to be a big test for the Rangers to contain them. At home, where Gallant's got last line change, they didn't really do a great job of keeping them in check whatsoever.
No, but I mean, look, I think that they were basically putting anyone against them, right? It's not back in the days when they had Dubinsky in New York, and that's who they used to have shutting down Crosby, someone kind of being a pain in their ass. I mean, they're pretty. Pittsburgh's just a good team too. They're well coached. They play the same way that they always have. Come playoff time, it's like watching a Crosby tape for the past 14 years. He does the same thing, I don't think there's anyone stopping him. It's just containing him.
Yeah, exactly. You can't stop him totally. You can only hope to contain him, and the Rangers have to do a better job of that. Clearly, after the first 2 games of this series. Last night we also saw the Florida Panthers. That was another game that was good for me from a betting perspective. 5-1 for Florida. We had Florida first period puck line at cashed. Florida team total over at cashed in regulation. Definitely, we had some good results there. Seeing Florida get the job done in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out, but definitely a win that Florida needed. No question about that, getting the victory against the Washington Capitals last night. And to be honest, it was a weird game. They were getting outshot heavily early.
Yeah, no, it was a weird game.
Still managed to win at 5-1. And look, it was the leaders of the team that led the way. Barkov was amazing last night. Huberdeau, of course. Marchment scores. Mason Marchment, Stefan, has been one of those players that I've been cashing in with goal score props.
Have you?
Plus 350, plus 400 prices because he flies under the radar, and he has just stepped up and he's had a breakout season for the Panthers. Mason Marchment, son of Bryant.
You know what? He's a good player. He's obviously really big also.
Yeah.
But no, see, that's interesting. I didn't even know that there were player prop bets where you're getting 350, 400 on these type of guys,
Yeah. No doubt, and definitely another goal from Marchment last night. A great night in net from Bobrovsky, and really a terrible night in net from Vanacek. And that's Vanacek. Vanacek was good in
Mhm.
Game 1 for Washington, and obviously not as good last night. And Florida gets the victory. The full game over lost in that game, which was frustrating because it was 5-1 after the second period, and then it just ends 5-1.
Yeah,
No
that's
scoring
it. Yeah.
in the third period. It was a shutdown. And that's the thing with the third period over, Stefan, is that we want the third period overs usually when it's a 2-goal game or a 1-goal game, and the other team still feels they can come back.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
get like a 5-1 like last night,
Then
the other team
yeah,
put
it
too
just
far
died out.
behind, and the team that's leading just says we're going to put it on shutdown mode.
I actually had bet the draw in the third period, so I ended up doing pretty decent on that one.
That's a good call. That's a
Yeah,
good call.
I
And
figured
speaking,
no. Yeah,
yeah,
go.
that's a great call. It's a great call by you. And I want to mention, too, of all our guests, when we got the confirmation Stefan wanted to join us, everybody was excited. Everybody was happy to do it. They said, well, we're all looking forward to the show, everyone we've reached out to. But Stefan saying, I want to learn more about this betting stuff. And more than anybody, like he really does. And he's
I think
dabbling
it's
in it a little bit.
interesting. Yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the NHL, so I'm completely allowed to, test the waters and have some fun with it. So I'm enjoying it so far right now. But yeah, I'm obviously like super interested in learning also.
Absolutely. Well, we're here to help. And just like hopefully we've helped our viewers and listeners over the years as well. But average unit, yeah, most of my bets are 250, 500 a piece.
Okay.
Once in a while, we'll go up to 1K or 2K, even when it's got to be something super strong,
Mm-hmm.
something I'm really, 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 confident on. No question about that. And look, I can't be the high volume better I am and going, 1,000, 2,000 a
No, you
bet.
can't.
Just can't do that. If you're going to be high volume like I am, which is the style that works for me, you've got to keep the amount per wager smaller. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
exactly what I do. And sometimes, because I'm high volume, even though most of the bets are 250, 500 a piece, I could still end up with 7 or 8K in play for one night,
Mm-hmm.
especially if there's
For
a lot of
sure.
sports going on and a lot of games on tap. So that's basically the way it goes. So there's the answer to that question in the chat. The rest of the night didn't treat me as well, Stefan. I got to admit, from a betting standpoint, Colorado 2-1 win over Nashville in overtime, and I actually thought it was going to be a situation where, with Colorado, they were going to drill this Nashville defense again. And certainly, I didn't expect Connor Ingram to do what he did, and he deserves a
No,
shit ton of credit.
yeah, he had a great
Connor
game.
Ingram. He did. Didn't he look fantastic? I said on Twitter, Stefan, that it was Connor Brodeur. It's not Connor
Yeah,
Ingram.
well,
It's Connor
listen, I
Brodeur.
mean, I read a thing yesterday that Makar had 20 shot attempts. I can't tell you how many I saw Nate take also. Like, those are, sometimes you strike fire, though, and I think goalies, like, a lot of it happens with momentum like that. When they're getting a lot of shots against it, it kind of keeps them, like, really sharp and involved. So I think he had a really, really good game. And I mean, obviously, he gave them a chance to win.
He did. He's the only reason that
Yeah.
Nashville had a chance to win, because it was complete domination. How the hell Colorado didn't score in the third period, especially when they had the power plays? I mean, it was everything except the puck going in.
Yeah,
Like, it was
exactly.
batshit crazy. It was insane. Like,
Yeah,
they
I
had
know.
unbelievable all the chances they had, and the puck just would not go in. But give him credit; he played one hell of a game. The problem is they didn't win the game. Cale Makar with the point shot in overtime to win it, and you
Yeah.
lose. That was your game to steal one if you're Nashville, and now you're down 2-0, and now this kid who had to face 50 shots has got to come back tomorrow in Nashville. Colorado's probably the book's out on him now. Right? Colorado kind of knows his tendencies now. How does this young kid follow up what he did last night in Game 3 tomorrow in Music City,
Well, I
which is
mean,
going to be
listen,
pretty much a must-win?
lightning doesn't usually strike in the same place twice,
Yeah.
So I don't, I can't imagine that, he's going to have the solution for them like he did yesterday all over again. I mean, look, there were so many pucks that got like bounced behind guys, and like we're hitting shin pads right in front. Obviously, Nashville is doing everything to stay alive, but I think Colorado's just a little too dominant. I mean, yesterday with the numbers, there was nothing to really bet on with them. Like, unless you bet for Nashville, but did anyone
Yeah.
believe Nashville was going to win? Like,
Well, there's a few people that took him plus 2.5 goals, plus 3.5 goals. And I'll say this right now that, it kind of felt like they would have a better effort, but I don't know how much better the effort was, though. because they still got badly outplayed, badly outshot. I mean, double shots almost, 51-26. They still didn't play that great. I mean, they're very fortunate that because if Connor Ingram is anything less than spectacular last night, that game could have been 6-1 for Colorado or something similar to what
for
game
sure.
one was.
For sure.
So it's not like they improved a whole lot, Nashville, in my opinion. They just got a goalie standing on his goddamn head.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
60
but he
minutes.
did. Let's see what he does in the third game now, right?
Yeah, exactly. The bounce back game, tough loss. Colorado kind of has seen you enough now that you know what to expect from this goalie tomorrow. So that's going to be the big question. And we'll not talk too much about this because it was just another dull, drabby playoff game, Dallas and Calgary, except this time Dallas on the winning side. 2-0. Again, it seems like 1 goal, 2 goals max, and you're going to be able to win games in this series. It's just going to be tight checking, low scoring. Dallas said we can't open it up against Calgary. And Daryl Sutter, who's been coaching Stefan in the NHL for 30
for a long time,
years, he has always been. He loves winning games 2-1 or 1-0. He loves it. He doesn't give two. They asked him, "Are you concerned about the lack of production offensively from your team? 1 goal in 2 games after the loss last night." Do you know what he said? It's playoff hockey.
Yeah, but he loves it.
He's happy.
Look, you can't question him. He obviously won a bunch of times with LA, and then I know he's like. I like Calgary as a team, and I really think that they have like a chance to be like the team that comes out of the West. Last night though, so. The -1.5 with like 6 minutes left in the game. Dallas is statistically actually a really, really bad empty net team.
Yeah.
So I got a good one on that one too.
Very good. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of
statistically, if you go look at it, they're really, really bad with the empty net.
Yeah. Oh, tell Alex B. Smith that.
Last year they owned the only time they scored on the empty net was I think the one game they won in the finals.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. And Alex B. Smith has always said for years, these teams seem to be worse at putting pucks into the empty net when they're up by 1 and trying to protect the lead. And it's kind of true at times. And
now that I've kind of watched like that idea change in hockey. I mean, obviously I'm not in the NHL, but nowadays people just really want you to have that like kind of killer instinct to take that shot at the empty net. So I think it's like it's actually like the simplest thing to take. It used to be like the mentality was cross the red line, so there's no icing, and then you're selfish. If you take that shot, and I think that in the past like 10 years, that's completely changed. Where it's like if you have that killer instinct, you can end the game right here, right now. Fucking fire the thing.
Yep. No, exactly.
Excuse my French.
No, that's all right. We anything goes on this show, as you can clearly tell, listening to me for a few minutes. But yeah, no doubt it was a good victory for Dallas. It was really game 1, except Dallas got the first goal, and they hung on to the lead and they defended the lead. Whereas in game 1, Calgary got the first goal and then they defended the lead. So that was the difference. And it feels like 2 goals is going to be enough to win games in this series. I mean, who's going to be in a hurry to bet the under or the over, I should say, after the first 2 games of this series? I mean,
maybe the next one.
Just do you buy into maybe the next one, because now we're talking about change of venue, and now 1-1. Maybe now you're going to see things just open up just a little bit, or are we really going to see every game like 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 in this series?
No, but you know what? I feel like in Calgary, and then maybe in Dallas, no. I feel like in the places it changes. Like Calgary is a tight, hardcore city. Like everyone's going there. It's a blue collar place, right?
Yeah.
Like the mentality at the rink, like you'd obviously know it's just going to be like hard physical, like no space hockey. And like Dallas is it's different, like, I mean,
no,
the weather's hot. Guys are going to be walking around in their shorts during the day. Like you'd be surprised, at how much that changes like people's mentality sometimes. I mean, obviously it's playoffs. I might be biting my tongue and, it's a 2-1 game again tomorrow, but maybe it ends up with an easy over that looks pretty hot. We can take it.
But the thing is, now the game 1, I'll tell you from a value standpoint, there is something to people liking the over in this series tomorrow in Dallas, game 3, because game 1 the total was 6.
Okay,
obviously
did it go down?
Under. Game 2 it was 5.5, but it was the -120 to the over. Now it's like plus 120 to the over, 5.5 for game 3. And it might even go down to 5, before the opening puck drop. So you are going to get value on the over in game 3.
Mm-hmm.
No question about that. Now the question becomes, are these teams capable of getting to anything beyond a 2-1 or 2-0 type of game?
Well, look, that's the thing. Then that's when it starts to explode, right? Like I felt like yesterday, it was tight because one goal, he pulls the goalie with a minute and a half left. But if you're up 3-1,
Yep.
then they score on the empty net. There's a possibility it's a repull. Like you were talking that 2 goals could potentially go in via empty net.
Yep.
Like if it's 2-1, then it's 3-1. Like it could go to 4-1 right there.
Of course, because everyone pulls the goalie now.
Everyone's going to pull it. That's what I mean. So, there's realistically, that's why there's value in taking those, just because, how often is it going to end up being just 2-1 where, or 1-0?
Yep, there's no question. And so interesting. I think you want to see, before I just jump on and anything with an over with Dallas and Calgary, I would watch the beginning of game 3, see how it starts out. Is the pace any better? Are they maybe a few more rush chances off the rush, a few more, trading scoring chances, which really we haven't seen much so far in the first 2 games of that series. And then maybe if we see a little bit more pace, we'll be interested in a live over. All right, so that was last night. Let's turn our attention to tonight and how we're going to approach these 4 games tonight from a betting perspective for this Friday card. We'll start with Carolina and Boston. We've got Boston minus 140, home favorites here at TD Garden, 5.5 the total. Of course, Carolina leading this series by a score of 2-0, of course. And this becomes obviously a must for the Boston Bruins. There is no question about that. They lose this game, it is over. It might already be over, to be quite honest with you. But it's definitely over for them if they don't win game 3 tonight. I do expect the first 20 minutes, Boston to be, jumping out of their skates. I expect that early. And a lot of times we've talked about this the last few years. I believe this is our, fifth full season of the Ice Guys show. And I think in every playoff season on this show, we've talked about these spots where the team's down 2-0. They go back home for game 3 and they need a big response. And I think you're going to probably see that early in the game tonight from the Boston Bruins. No question about that. And I think you'll see them, again, start strong, carry the play. They did carry the play early in game 1 against Carolina, but they just couldn't put the puck in the net against Antti Raanta, who was very good. Of course, Raanta gets hurt in game 2 and left the game, and he is obviously not available tonight for the Hurricanes. And so they go back to the young Russian, Pyotr Kochetkov, who's going to be back in net tonight for them. And I was impressed, Stefan, with his game in game 2. Coming in cold, making the big saves. He had to make some real tough stops. And what I like about him is his competitive nature. I mean, Brad Marchand almost runs him, bumps into him, and Kochetkov's giving him the fucking business.
Yeah, no,
I love
those
it.
Those Russian goalies, man, they're also like, I mean, the ones I've played with, I'm not generalizing, but they get out of their crease and they'll slash you. And that I had a good laugh at that yesterday. I mean, look, the other crazy stat I saw is how many guys are on below $1 million contracts as goalies that are starting in the playoffs right now. I think there's 6 of them. So, I mean, any of these guys that end up going in and, popping in a good game, it's, I mean, right now, goalies, the positions improved so much over the past 10 years that every guy coming in is a stud almost also, right?
Yeah, even Connor Ingram, who we talked about last night. Look, he comes in and
East
does
Coast
that
2 years ago.
Yeah. And these guys are only making 6 figures. Most of these goals, they had a stat.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I saw. There's 6 of them that are at 750,000, which is crazy considering how much some teams are paying versus other ones, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But of course, because of necessity and injuries, they've had to put these guys in between the pipes. And as a result, they've definitely been it's been a struggle, for some of these teams to try to compensate with these younger goalies. Although some of them have risen to the occasion, like Ingram, and Kochetkov was good, I thought, in game 2. So, when I look at this game here, I think Boston early is a good play. I do like Boston plus 115, plus 110 in the first period in this game. But here's the problem. I think Boston could have that big, strong start. And even if they're up by 1, which is what I'm hoping, I might come back and bet Carolina live, because I find as these games have gone on, Carolina's gotten better. They've gotten stronger. They are, and I also think they're the faster and deeper team than Boston.
Yeah, I think they're scaring Boston too.
Yep.
With those
Yep.
hits the other day, Svechnikov, all these guys, like Grzelcyk didn't want to go into the corner and get the puck first at one point. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to count out the big bad Bruins though, and Patrice and Brad Marchand. You know, like those guys are winners through and through, and it's like it's tough for me to like imagine. But I kind of agree with you that the first period that's like really strong.
That's the good one on Boston. And if they're up after the first period, I'm interested in Carolina live to come back and win the game because I do think that could still happen. I mean, when I look at Boston tonight, I still am worried with no Lindholm, with McAvoy's playing, but I don't know if he's at 100%. He was laboring a bit in game 2. He's paired with Mike Riley, Matt Grzelcyk, Brandon Carlo, Forbert, and Clifton. I mean, that 6 cannot match Carolina's 6 on the blue line with Slavin and D'Angelo and Shea and Pesce. I mean, their third pair, Stefan, is Ian Cole, a veteran defenseman who's pretty solid, and Brendan Smith, who's a physical, rugged defenseman. Yeah. That's a good third pair.
That is a really good third pair. I mean, it looks like they're having fun playing hockey over there too, right? They're all young guys. They're all motivated. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you know, it's kind of the young versus the old finally, where you've seen, like, you know, like Ovechkin, Crosby, these guys are in their late 30s, and you know, they've been winning for years. You know, Taves, you know, it's 12 years of the same guys winning, you know, and it's time for, like, the Matthews, McKinnon, you know, McDavid, like, one of these guys to take the next crown, you know? So, I mean, Carolina is one of those teams that doesn't get talked about all the time, but they have, like, a very, very good young core of players, like with Aho, Svechnikov, you know, D'Angelo. I played with him in Phoenix, but, you know, he's a hell of a player. Like, he's a character, but he's a hell of a player. Like, you know, these guys have a really, really, really good lineup of young, great hockey players. So, you know, it's not going to be long to see. Well, I mean, we are seeing now how good they are.
We definitely are. And Bergeron has been the one Bruin that's been great, in my opinion, in this series.
He's the best two-way player in the NHL. I mean,
he is.
That guy's a winner through and through. So
he is. He's been the number one two-way player in the NHL for years, if not a decade now.
But that's what I mean. And now it's crazy, right? Because you got to think that all the wars that we've been seeing of teams winning, it's Crosby. So it's been Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston, you know, LA, Chicago, and now it's like, you know, you're seeing these new young guys come in, and it's, you know, it's crazy to wait and see that how, like, you know, maybe Carolina maybe they just push past Boston now. I don't know.
I think there's a chance they come back and win tonight and take a 3-0 series lead. So my approach, I'll confirm it right now, finalize it. Final answer is going to be I am on Boston in the first period, and I'm going to be looking at Carolina after that in a live bet if it plays out the way I do. Obviously, if Carolina, you know, wins the first period or even, you know, tied in the first period, if Boston is tied or losing after the first period, they're in some big time horse shit trouble. Big time shit. They're in big time trouble in this game and in this series. They've got to assert themselves early tonight. You know, they have last line change. That's going to help Bruce Cassidy a little bit get the matchups he wants on the ice. But there's no question Boston's got to have a strong start. I think they will. I mean, there's just too much veteran experience and leadership, I think, for them not to come out strong. But I think Carolina's live to come back as well. So it's Boston first period, Carolina live for me. As far as props go, I'm going back to Seth Jarvis because he's always dangerous. He's still playing on that top line for the Carolina Hurricanes. I just look at him from a prop standpoint. For Boston, why not go back to Bergeron to score a goal, to register a point? Over shots on goal continues to cash time and time again. He's had 12 shots on goal, Stefan, in the first 2 games, 5 shots and 7 shots, and it's only over 3.5 shots on goal.
Okay, so then he's going to go. Okay, then he's going to get over 3.5 for sure.
Yep. No doubt about that. Andrews mentioned that on the show this week. So, you know, it's hard to deny that prop. No question about that. It just keeps on cashing. And I'm seeing it right now with Bergeron. Yeah, it's over 3.5 minus 140. I mean, he's 5-7 in the first 2 games for shots on goal. It's hard not to take that. So, Stefan, what are your final thoughts here? Game 3, Carolina-Boston.
Man, you know what? It's tough, but I think Carolina's going to win. I think it might be a year where they pull it, but I agree with exactly what you're doing for the time being right now. I think starting the game maybe with the Bruins coming out with like some big energy in the first period, like, you know, first 10 minutes, first 20 minutes, they'll come out swinging, but maybe Carolina is going to be too much for them to win the game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I mean, I do think I like the Boston first period bet, but I'm not sure I fully trust them after that because we've seen Carolina each game in this series they get better second period, and they are a second period, third period team. We've seen them; they've been really good in those two periods in this series, so that's why that first period's vital for the Bruins tonight in that one. All right, next up we've got Toronto and Tampa Bay.
Hey,
This is game
that
3 of
one's
this
this one's
series.
bad.
Yeah, 1-1 here in this series. Tampa Bay minus 120, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. So I went and looked because I was curious. Because to be honest with you, if you watched game 2, which Tampa Bay won, much of their damage was on the power play
Yeah,
in that game. Their power play came to life. Toronto couldn't stay out of the penalty box. It's something that the Leaf players were openly discussing prior to tonight's game that we got to stay out of the damn box. We
yeah.
cannot give Tampa Bay these many power plays and expect to beat them here in the playoffs. So what I did, courtesy of Natural Stat Trick, a great website that I use daily, is I wanted to see who's had the advantage in this series from a 5-on-5 perspective. Who has had the better of it in terms of 5-on-5 play so far in this series. And when you look at it, when you look at the power play numbers, there's definitely been an advantage to Tampa. But Toronto's been very good, slightly better than Tampa 5-on-5 in this
Yeah.
series. So I think, and this has me pulling toward the Leafs tonight in game 3. And we saw the Leafs beat Tampa 6-2 last month in Tampa Bay. Now, obviously, Tampa remembered that, and then they crushed Toronto in the final regular season game, but there was no Austin Matthews on the ice.
Yeah,
It was
no,
Eric
no Marner.
Shalgren. Yeah, Eric Shalgren was in net too, Stefan, instead of Jack Campbell. So there was definitely, and I just think it's one of those series where I don't want to hear too much about Toronto's failures in the past are well documented. They have not won a playoff series since 2004. We've said multiple times on the show, Stefan, that Toronto hasn't won a playoff series since high definition television has been around. That's how long it's been. MySpace was the dominant social media platform the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a playoff series.
I don't know, man.
How about that?
Tom was there. He was waving at us.
Yeah, he was. I think so. Yeah, Tom from MySpace. Yeah, back
Tom
in the
from
day.
MySpace.
The original Mark
friend.
Zuckerberg. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
from MySpace.
But that's how long it's been. Yeah, it's easy to make fun of the Leafs for that, but we've done that enough. But that shouldn't be held against this team.
No, and you know what? I don't hold it against them. Look, it's so hard to win, and that's what I'm saying is like all these guys have had to go. Like it wasn't so much that Matthews and them. Like Matthews was losing to Bergeron and Marchand. You get it? Like that's the way that it's been. Like none of these young guys have been able to pass through these veterans that are standing in front of them, and that's why I'm saying like, see the problem with these two right now is like. Tampa to me is a team that's like a blend of it. They're not like they don't rely on just like one group of people to score. And I saw this crazy stat that what's his name? The goalie is like if he lost a game, it would be 15 games after that he won in a row in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he loses one, and now Vasilevsky, he is a top goalie in the league, and you never know. You know what I mean? Like. I want to lean towards the Leafs too because I'd love to see Canadian teams in the finals, and that's no offense to Tampa. Obviously, like I love their team too. I love the way they're built. Like I'm friends with Alex Killorn and a couple other guys. Like I used to train with their strength trainer. They're an excellently ran organization. But I mean, I actually got traded to Tampa at one point, but I completely forgot about that. But they're like super well run. I'm just like I'd like to see, Florida play against like Toronto in the finals, like in the conference finals. I don't know about today's game though. Like I can't. Who are you picking to win in this one?
I'm gonna for better or worse, I'm gonna go with the Leafs here. I think it's good situation. It's plus 100. Let's not forget too, the Leafs played pretty good road hockey late in the season. They really did. I mean, their road record. I'm going to take a look here what their road record was, but pretty good down the stretch of the season. Yeah, I'm seeing. By the way, 11-5 for the Leafs. Their last 16 versus a team with a winning record on the road. So they have definitely been able to step up on the highway, in tough environments and be able to get the job done. And I think that's a potential here tonight against this Tampa Bay. Again, I think it's going to be very back and forth series. I think you could go a long way just backing the loser of the previous game. I think this is the most difficult game for me to handicap.
Yeah, me too.
Because in game one, Steph and I love Toronto because they got embarrassed by Tampa in the final game of the regular season. Yeah. They were at home. They hear the critics saying, "Oh, every year you lose in the first round." It was important for them.
They came out with a fire in their ass.
They did, and they buried Tampa in game one. But then that was Tampa's wake-up call, and I came back with the Lightning in game two saying, hey, now it's Tampa's turn to respond and be better. And they were, and they won game two, and they tied the series. Now I think Toronto makes their adjustments. They've shown the ability to win in Tampa Bay. They know that if they keep themselves out of the box, and I think they work overtime to do that. There's not one player that didn't say, hey, stay out of the box after game two. We give ourselves a better chance. And if they do that, their 5-on-5 play has been even slightly better than Tampa Bay so far in this series. So,
well, they made some roster changes also, right?
Yep. Give me the Leafs here, plus 100. Total-wise, we had under in game one. We had over in game two. It kind of feels like this could be a little bit more tighter, lower scoring, but I ain't going to bet it. I'm just going to stick to the side here. I'm going to go with the Leafs here at even money. With Stefan, what do you think?
No, you know what? I'm going to go with you also.
All right, going to go with
me. 2 for 2. Yeah, I'm fine. Right. I'm on the same as you. I mean, my heart's telling me that Tampa's going to win, but I'd like to see the Leafs win.
Yeah, I just think it's when you look at this year, and the stats really is what pulled me in the Leafs' direction as well here. When I see their 5-on-5 play has been slightly better than Tampa, which makes sense. Most of Tampa's goals in game two were on the power play, and 5-on-5, I found the Leafs were still swarming Vasilevsky. Mm-hmm. 5-on-5, they were getting a bunch of good looks at Andrei Vasilevsky, and look, Vasilevsky had one of his classic performances after a playoff loss. That's why he's won 15 in a row after a playoff loss. It's not like Toronto played like shit, didn't generate anything. He just made the big saves.
Well, he's arguably the best goalie in the league. I mean, he's not even Carey Price or him. Carey hasn't played. It's Andrei Vasilevsky. He's the best goaltender in the NHL right now. So.
Yeah, and he proved that. There's no question about. Oh, props, by the way, before we get to the next game. I'm just sticking with probably the same group of players. I have to take Michael Bunting because on the road is where he scored most of his goals. Yeah, okay. Now, he got a goal in game two at home, but most of his goals have been on the road. He's a must-player prop bet for me tonight for the Leafs to score a goal and to get a point. Ilya Mikheyev as well. He remains dangerous for the Leafs. Alex Kerfoot. Jason Spezza, sprinkle a couple bucks on him maybe to score. He's back in the lineup tonight after not playing in the first two games of this series. You watch him. He's going to be, I think, around the net. And I think he's going to end up having some chances after being a healthy scratch for the first two games. Yeah. And let's not forget with Jason Spezza, he scored in the playoffs, I think, last year. A couple of big goals for the Leafs as well against Montreal.
He's a big-time player, whenever he comes into the lineup, he finds a way to score. I feel like he'll be able to do something tonight. I like that bet.
Yeah, and Tampa, it's going to be Stamkos. I think is good because he's had a bunch of chances. I like the idea of taking Nick Paul and Ross Colton and Brandon Hagel.
What's Verhaeghe at? Is there value in Verhaeghe?
Well, he plays for Florida.
Oh no! Oh yeah, sorry.
Yep. There you go. That's okay. Brain farts are allowed. I have them sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carter Verhaeghe, Florida. He used to play with Tampa.
That's why I have it mixed up. I'm sorry.
He came to Florida from the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go. All right, Minnesota, St. Louis. We've got the Wild and the Blues. St. Louis minus 120. Home favorites here, 6.5 the total. This is kind of like my Toronto Tampa Bay opinion. I just think it's back and forth. It's a zigzag series. And to be honest with you, the Wild are worse on the road than the Blues are. So I have my doubts that the Wild are going to win 2 in a row. I like St. Louis here tonight, minus 120. Even though I like Minnesota in the series, I've mapped it out where I think St. Louis is going to win tonight. I think Minnesota is going to bounce back in game 4. Then Minnesota is going to win game 5 at home as well. St. Louis will win game 6 at home, and Minnesota will win in 7. That's what I'm hoping.
Wow.
In this series. Because I got Minnesota in 7 and the series to go 7 as bets before the series started. So I'm hoping that is how it plays out. But I like the Blues tonight. Minus 120. They've been great at home. They got ambushed by the Wild. It was a game they got behind big early. I think they were down 4-0 early in the second period. Minnesota played that game like if they lost it, their season was over. which essentially it probably would have been, because going down 2-0 with a mediocre road record and now playing St. Louis tonight would have been very difficult for them. But Minnesota gets the 6-2 win. I think this is the Blues spot here to return and bounce back and be a lot better, a lot sharper. Same with Billy Husso and net as well for the Blues tonight in this game. It hasn't been confirmed who's it. Now it is Fleury. Of course it's going to be Fleury. No question
Of course
about
it
that.
is.
Just the official confirmation hadn't gone there yet. So I'm going to keep it simple here. Blues minus 120. And I ain't betting an under in this series, because you've seen a lot of, pace. You've seen a lot of scoring, and you've seen a lot of penalties in this series so far. And both game 1 and game 2. Oh, yeah, go ahead if you got it.
No, sorry, I heard you.
Yeah, no problem. So you've seen a lot of penalties in this series, the first 2 games. I'm not necessarily sure that is going to change tonight here in this matchup against the Blues tonight, but I think we're going to end up seeing over the total once again here tonight with the Wild and the Blues. So I like the over as well, and I like St. Louis here, minus 120 tonight at home to bounce back after a rough game 2 in Minnesota the other night. What do you think here, Stefan?
I think Gloria will be playing at the end of the game today. I don't know if that's what they're still playing in St. Louis, but it's I think going back over there, they're a confident team. I mean, they went 12. They're like 12 or 13, 1-1 in their last 14 games. They were 12-0-1 or something like that going into the playoffs. I think they have a lot of steam behind them. I think that they'll come out big at home. So I think that St. Louis will do. They'll get the job done today. I mean, what are your player prop ideas?
Player props for me for St. Louis. I mean, it's basically, that's the thing with playoff series. You basically bet the same group of players in most games, because you're just playing the same teams over and over again. And for me, I mean, David Perron has to be on your list for St. Louis. What he's doing is remarkable right now. Tarasenko, Booch. I mean, take your pick, because there's like 9 different forwards, Stefan, that can beat you on St. Louis. That can put the puck in the net.
That's it. They have 620 goal scorers, no?
They do. Yeah, they do. And they have 3 lines that can all come after it in waves. And Minnesota's got a bit of that too. But for Minnesota, I think this is a Ryan Hartman game for the Minnesota Wild. On the road, it's going to be a little bit tougher to score. Like, you're in St. Louis now. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher to pull off some of those big-time skill plays in a game like this. So I think Minnesota's goals, St. Louis, they're going to get their skill game going. I think their upper echelon, top-level skill players up front are going to be the ones to really end up carrying the game for St. Louis here. And I think they'll get a few more calls as well in this game, the Blues, too, being at home. And, of course, their power play is lethal. But for Minnesota, I think it's going to be Ryan Hartman, and I think you're going to see a Marcus Foligno sighting offensively.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well, I'm thinking a little outside the box here. Now, if you want to bet
instead of Eriksson Ek or whatever his name is.
No, I think you got to take him too, because he goes to the net, and he obviously had a couple goals.
And sometimes some players are just hot against certain teams. Man, he's got 4 goals in his last. No, the last one went offside. So yeah, he's only got 4 goals in his last 2 games. He's only got 4.
No, you got to take him. You absolutely have to take Eriksson Ek, no question. But for me, for Minnesota, outside of Eriksson Ek, like, I'm not saying Kaprizov and Boldy and Fiala. Fiala's been good. It's hard to leave him off your prop list too. Fiala's just been incredible. But I would go with Eriksson Ek, and I would go with Marcus Foligno and Ryan Hartman, because I think if they're going to score goals tonight, they're going to have to do it by crashing the net, getting to the blue paint, getting to the crease, and those are the guys that do it for the Minnesota Wild.
Nice.
That's my thought there.
No, I like that. Yeah.
I
agree with you, actually. Yeah, what kind of bet are you putting on these?
The prop bets are smaller. Like, they're obviously not 250, 500. They're like 50 to 100. Okay. In that range, much smaller. Okay. But good payouts. Like, if you hit a couple goals.
That's it. Some of them are 10 to 1, 15 to 1. Though.
Yeah, most of them, like, you get most of these guys in the plus 250, plus 300, some of them.
Really?
Plus 350. And you can, that's why, even though you're betting a smaller amount on the props than the sides and the totals, you hit just a couple and you can be
it's dynamite.
Like, you could be 2-6 with goal scorer prop bets and yet still be up money, make money because of the price you get with some of them. And that's always what I look for bet maybe 5 or 6, and hopefully even if we just hit 2 of them, 3 of them,
Yeah.
we're going to end up profitable. Yep. All right, so there we go. Blues for me. How about you? Blues or Wild for you? Blues. All right. Liking the Blues. All right, minus
Nah,
1.
we're not arguing about our picks so far.
All right, that's good. Well, hopefully that's a good thing. How about this last game? Final game here for Friday, Stefan. Game 3, Western Conference first round. Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings. Edmonton minus 140. Road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I don't know if I'm gonna take it, but I'm leaning strongly to the Oilers here. This is one
the
time
Oilers are going to win.
Yeah, this is one time where I think this is one time where I think the zigzag's not going to work. I think Edmonton really, the game 1 was kind of a wake up call. I don't know what it was, but they were just never really dialed in from the beginning. The Kings outshot them 8-0, and the Oilers really didn't play a great game 1, and yet they were tied in the third and really starting to push the play and take it to the Kings. And then we saw, of course, the giveaway by Mike Smith. Horrible giveaway right up the middle of the ice. It ended up happening, and then they got the go-ahead goal. And then Edmonton came out in game 2, and even though it was scoreless after the first, they had a good first period, and they just rolled after that. And I think they get momentum from that, and they can go on the road.
I think they slapped them, to be honest with you.
I'll take just the win because I'll probably just go money line, play it safe, minus 140 in this. But yeah, I think the Oilers are going to carry that momentum forward. I mean, that was an impressive game 1. Mike Smith got his mojo back. Exactly. And really, he didn't play horrible in game 1. It was just outside of the giveaway that it made it look really bad. But game 2, he was terrific. And he took a bullet, for the team after game 1, saying, that was on me. I made that giveaway. I can't make that play. We lost because of this, and it's on me.
Mike Smith is the man.
Yeah,
like he's actually the man. So, I mean, I was with him in Phoenix whenever I was there, and he's he's one of those guys who will wear something like that. He's a leader as a goalie, which sometimes you have goalies that kind of do their own thing, but Mike Smith is he's a stand-up character.
Yeah, definitely. Mike Smith, and I knew the players would rally around what he said because he's like, hey, he's taking responsibility, and we love him for that. And I knew they'd play hard for him in game 2, and he'd want to make amends and atone for what happened in game 1. And that's exactly what happened. And look, this Edmonton team, by the way, I think it's worth saying too, this is another team that on the road, they played damn good hockey late in the season as well. Going into LA, I think they could probably go in there and have some success. Let's not forget the last time they played in LA at the end of the regular season. In fact, each of the last 3 meetings in the regular season between the Oilers and the Kings, including the 2 regular season meetings this year, Stefan, between them, Edmonton won in LA 5-2 on February 15, and then Edmonton won 3-2 in LA April the 7th.
I think Edmonton's going to win.
Yep, they have shown the ability to win in LA. You saw Evander Kane, Kyler Yamamoto, Zach Hyman, the supporting cast give Leon and Connor support, and when that happens, it just takes the Oilers to a completely different level. And for LA, look, I like Kopitar, and look, they've gotten more out of these Jordan Spence, Mikey Anderson, younger defensemen so far. Sean Dursey is going to be a good one. There's no question. They're going to be good defensemen for a long time. But I think, the longer the series goes, you could see them start to look like young defensemen at times, make a few.
Well, that's how it always works. That's also been the issue with the Oilers defense for the past couple of years also, and now you see guys like Darnell Nurse came into his own. I mean, there's some of these guys that are bona fide studs now, and it's cool to have seen them do it kind of internally.
It has been. There's no question. So just in terms of props too, I mean, I'm sticking to the same players I've been backing in this series for Edmonton. Kane, Yamamoto. You could go with Connor and Leon. There's nothing wrong with that, but I look for a little better value. You get that with Evander Kane. You get that with Kyler Yamamoto. And Warren Fogle. I'm going to stick to
you're taking Fogle?
Warren Fogle because he scored big goals in Carolina. He didn't score the other night, but he hit the post. I remember the shot. He hit the post. He had Jonathan Quick beat. And he hit the post, and he was that close to scoring. I'm telling you, Warren Fogle, guys, for the Edmonton Oilers is going to get a goddamn goal before
Okay.
this series ends. I will put that down and right
I'll
now.
do it too. I'll do it too, just because you're saying so. If you seem really passionate about it, so I'll go with you.
Yeah, it's because he's one of those players that elevates at playoff time. He gets chances, he gets opportunities, and I know he's down in the bottom 6 forward group, but I think you're going to continue to see him get opportunities. Look, he had 4 shots on goal against the Kings in that 6-0 game. So he had chances. One of those shots hit the post.
1 of 10 goes in, buddy. That's it. You just got to play the law of averages. If a good goalie stops 1 of 9 shots, if you take 10 shots as a player, that's like my rule for it. If you take 10 shots, 1 will go in, or if you take 9, let's say you don't have 1 on 20, then 19 and 20, you might get 2 goals, it always evens out to about 10%.
Yeah,
So if
no
he got
question.
4 shots, then you know what? The law of averages is on his side today, buddy. I think I think it's actually a good call.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what I'm looking at here in that game with Edmonton, LA. Is Edmonton minus 140. As far as the total goes, I don't have a strong take on it. 6.5. We had 1 under. We had 1 over so far in this series. The last game stayed under, barely. 6 goals, none for LA, but it barely stayed under. Game 1 obviously was way more of an up and down pace type of game than I expected, and it went over the total. But I'd still lean under. I think at 6.5s in this series, I'd still lean under before over with these two teams, especially with Mike Smith getting his mojo back and getting his confidence back, playing well again like he did most of the final month of the regular season. So I lean to the under, and I like Edmonton minus 140. And I forgot to mention Toronto, Tampa Bay. I like in the first period both teams to score. That's been a bet that I've liked to go to quite a bit. You get a plus 150 or so usually with that. Both teams to score, first period, Leafs and Lightning. I do like that in that game. In this one here, Edmonton minus 140. Props, I like Yamamoto, Kane, and Fogle for the Oilers. For the Kings, I'd probably go with Kempe. Kempe back home is very dangerous.
Nice.
I think Adrian Kempe might be the guy to target for the Kings along with Trevor Moore. So, Stefan, what are your final thoughts here with the Oilers and Kings?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think the Edmonton Oilers are going to win. Obviously, they have the 2 best or top point getters in the whole league, and they could also pop off any day. I would be surprised, if they finish with the 5 goals or 6 goals that they had today, last game, and Mike Smith gets solved once or twice. So I'm gonna probably pick Edmonton in the over, to be honest. So that's like the first one that I'm gonna have to go the other way.
So there you go. Edmonton liking the over, though, in this game with the 6.5 is Stefan here in this one. Yeah.
No, how often is Mike Smith he's going to hold 120 minutes of shutout? You know what I mean? And, if all of a sudden now, last game, McDavid and Draisaitl had some relief, from other guys scoring. But, today they might come back and get 4.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, it is true there's some injuries on the blue line. Leddy, Bortuzzo, and Scandella. We didn't mention that for St. Louis. That's a concern, but
that's actually a concern.
Yeah, of course it is. Cluster injuries on the blue line. We always say that's sometimes concerning. So you're going to see Parayko, Mikkola, Krug, Falk, Calle Rosen, and Steven Santini. It looks like your 6 defensemen tonight for the St. Louis Blues. So it'll be very interesting to see how they make do with that. But no, there's no doubt. I mean, that's something to watch out for tonight. I think it's better for the over, because I always say cluster injuries on the blue line. As someone that played, Stefan, you agree with that? Like when there's cluster injuries on the blue line, communication sometimes breaks down, and that's usually good for offense.
There's usually a breakdown, whether it's like it depends. Usually, through the organization, everyone's kind of doing the exact same system, so that when you go up to the next level, let's say you're an American League guy, like if there's 3 guys out, an American League guy's probably getting called up from Springfield today. Usually they use the same language, whether that's like over or some people use like a dink system now where people don't exactly go to like the opposite ends of the blue line. So usually the language is the same within the organization, so it makes it a little easier. But I can tell you that most of the time, every time someone's gotten called up, or I've watched someone get called up, usually there's a hiccup that causes, and in the playoffs, that's all you need to get a goal scored against, right? So, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be surprised if a puck goes into the corner and it just bumps the wrong way, right? Because someone said the wrong thing, or the communication part of it's huge.
Yeah, it is. If you cycle the puck back, or if you pass the puck back to your defenseman, or if you're going to start the breakout, start the zone exit, and one player thinks you're doing something, and you think you're doing something else, that's when problems happen.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, it just takes one bad thing to happen. So, I mean, if all three of those guys are sitting, I might be swinging the other way.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to the Blues, but it is concerning. It's turning, like, I already actually like the over more than the Blues, to be honest, in that game, and I'm sticking with that. So it's going to be more for me on the over than the Blues.
Okay.
But at the same time, I honestly don't have that utmost faith in Minnesota on the road against the great teams at times.
Yeah.
I really don't. And that's, in theory, they should be able to score. In theory, there's an opportunity for them to really get that offense going tonight against the Blues with the three defensemen out. But I'm telling you, they're not always easy to trust on the road against great teams. And I'll say this right now. If Minnesota wins tonight, which they could, obviously, I'm not sure they will, but if they do win tonight, Minnesota, that's going to really set up, I think, a strong situation with the Blues in Game 4.
Yeah,
especially if they get some of those blue liners back.
Yeah.
Because they can't go down 3-1 to Minnesota. That's if they lose tonight. They can't go down 3-1 to Minnesota, going back to Minnesota for Game 5. So that will be a big. That will be one of my stronger playoff opinions, probably. St. Louis 4 if they lose tonight in Game 3. That's how I see it for sure. All right, great stuff. That is the Friday card. We'll talk about Florida, Washington tomorrow. It's 1 p.m., but we're on at noon Eastern tomorrow, our Saturday show. Remember that our weekend Ice Guys shows are at noon Eastern. So that means we will be talking about that game before it starts. So we will talk about that game tomorrow. Someone was asking about Florida, Washington. So save that for tomorrow. Florida, Washington. And by the way, tomorrow we'll have Travis White as our special guest, played years in the professionally ECHL and other places overseas as well. And we'll have our weekend warrior on the Ice Guys crew, Vito, Rinus Vitalins from Latvia, joining us as well tomorrow on the Ice Guys show to break down the Saturday game. So we're looking forward to that. But great stuff with our guest Stephen Fournier today. Happy to have him. Maybe we'll have him back later on.
I appreciate it a lot. I'm probably gonna get on my apps now and put in the bets that we just spoke about, and then I'll follow along, and hopefully we end up winning together, and then I'll definitely be back on here, buddy. It was a pleasure, though. Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, awesome stuff. A great show. Great energy. You're like me, high energy. That's good. Good for the show. All right, before we wrap it up with best bets in just a second, a reminder, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers bet just $1 on any NHL team. You can win $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right. Best bets to wrap it up for this Friday edition of the Ice Guys show. Stefan, we will start with you. What do you like for your best bet?
Oh, man. Edmonton.
There you go.
Edmonton.
Follow up, just a little analysis, this is the best bet segment, my friend. You don't just say Edmonton. You got to say a little, hey, why do I like Edmonton?
Oh, okay, you actually want me to go and talk about it.
To sum it up,
I like Edmonton and the over. So Edmonton, in my mind tonight, comes out again. Their top guns will obviously be as dangerous as always. Maybe Mike Smith lets in one or two, and if the number's 6.5, I wouldn't be surprised to see a 5-2 game, 6-3 game. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl potting it up a couple times, and LA being able to find a way to score. Just a few against Mike Smith tonight after a good shutout that he had the other day. Usually lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot. So For him to go another 60 minutes without letting in a goal and would be, surprising and probably more or less unlikely. So
there you go. Edmonton, officially
Edmonton and the
Edmonton
over.
minus 140. And so the two best bets. And it's funny, I was going to give two best bets as well on the show today. So we're in a giving mood here on the Ice Guys show with the best bets. Stephen Fournier going with Edmonton minus 140 and over 6.5 here against the LA Kings. And my best bet, I'm also going to go Edmonton minus 140 for my side best bet, but I'm also going to go with that Minnesota St. Louis over 6.5 at minus 110. I just think minus 105 actually at a lot of places. So shop around for that. But Edmonton, I think, builds off the Game 2 win. I think goes, and they've won twice in LA. They're 2-0 at Crypto Arena in LA this year. I think they get the job done. Oilers minus 140, and I like the Wild Blues over 6.5 in that game. Again, we're talking about a cluster injury situation with the Blues blue line, but the Blues offense at home, I think they're going to get back on the power play. We know that power play is lethal. We know in Game 1, Minnesota struggled to contain that power play. And on the flip side, I think Minnesota's got the opportunity to score as well, given the potential vulnerability and depletion with the blue line for St. Louis. So Minnesota, St. Louis over 6.5, and Edmonton minus 140. A couple of best bets for me on this Friday NHL card. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. Just some final thoughts, Stefan, before we wrap it up.
Hey, nothing. You know what? Thanks a lot for having me out here, Ian. I had a blast with you today. Obviously, it was nice for me to just sit outside here and chit-chat about hockey. And obviously, learning from you on the betting side is really, really cool also. So thanks a lot for having me out here today. And thanks for everyone that came on to the show to listen.
Exactly. We appreciate it. No question about that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, no days off, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For our special guest, Stephen Fournier, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will talk to you again tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.